the other thing is, like, if tomorrow you decided that you wanted to convert to Judaism,
inshallah, there's hope for you.
Yeah, you can be redeemed
All
also.
you need to do is take conversion.
Can I finish?
Even conversion is not easy.
So it's not easy. Why? Because I'll tell you why conversion is not easy.
Yes.
Because if you want to accept the truth, you have to accept people that only accept Judaism because they acknowledge it's the truth.
Say this again.
If people are converting to Judaism, it's because they accept that Judaism is true.
Okay.
So there's many people that would convert, for example, maybe they fell in love with a Jewish girl or a Jewish guy, or there's other reasons. Maybe they think they're going to get more money. I don't know what funny ideas people have about Jews. So that's why we make it difficult. It's also because, and for a different reason as well. That's one reason. The second reason it's difficult is because, and it ties back in with your question, is we believe that God gave basically 7 laws to all of humanity, and they're called the Noahide laws. And to Jews, he gave an extra 606 laws, and there's what called, if you've heard of them, the 613 mitzvot. So basically, we believe like the 613 mitzvot, 613 commandments. So basically, you as a non-Jew, obviously you have your own religion which forbids you from doing certain things.
Well, sorry, Stephen, can I just say something? If somebody wants to revert or convert into a religion, shouldn't it be something that should be made easy for them to do, and not something that works against them?
This is a conversation within Judaism as well. What you're saying.
Shouldn't it be the intention of that person that you guys shouldn't make it your business between them and God?
Let me ask you.
You're asking good questions, but can I explain? It's a very
in Islam, all we have to do is take our shahada.
No, you can convert. You can convert.
So can I ask you another question?
Can I finish answering the first question?
Yeah, of course.
So the thing is, like, if you take a non-Jew and we ignore Muslims, we'll talk about Christians. Right now, when a Christian person, or we can say the same for Muslims, you're allowed to eat shellfish. We're not allowed to eat shellfish. So now, if you decide to go home and have a prawn cocktail, you're not doing anything wrong. But if you become a Jew, then suddenly you'll be sinning against God. And what the problem would be, the reason we don't encourage people to convert, can I finish the point? The reason we don't encourage people unless they're absolutely 100% sincere is because someone who converts and then changes their mind and goes back to their old ways, at the moment, you eating a shellfish sandwich, you're not doing anything wrong. If you become a Jew and you eat shellfish, you've sinned. Do
you mind if I just ask a question? Let me ask you a straightforward question. This is actually me genuinely asking a question I don't know the answer to. So this is not a chess move. It's genuinely not. Seriously.
I want to trust you.
No, it's not. Here's my question. You're saying that, as far as I'm concerned, you're saying that Judaism and the Old Testament corpus, in general, encourages a racial equality.
Yes.
That's what you're saying, yeah?
The words of the Bible, so when it describes the creation of Adam, the first human being, it says he was created b'tselem Elohim, which means in the image of God. So we believe that every human being is equal and has an image and the spark of holiness inside.
You would say that racism is a bad thing?
Of course.
Okay, no problem. Can I, this is seriously, I just want to ask this question, yeah? Can you give me one explicit statement in the Old Testament corpus which says or challenges racism?
I just gave it to you. It says
no. That's not challenging racism. It's saying that Adam was created in the image of God.
Can I just respond to that? Race is a construct of the 20th century. Yeah.
No, I don't believe that's true. Race has always been part of life.
No, there's been people with different skin colour. In the Jewish tradition, we were a tribal people. You had different Jews, and particularly in later history as we spread out, they began to intermarry with different communities and took on different racial characteristics.
No problem, but
Judaism doesn't say anything for or against race because it's not.
You're wrong. He's Jewish, you're Christian.
I'm going to walk away. This guy just screams at me. He's really annoying.
He does the same to me as well.
Is he saying anything right now?
He's not saying
he says gibberish, he says it's Hebrew.
This is shalom.
We don't believe the Bible. We believe the Torah.
Okay.
To the Bible. Why you sit him in the Bible?
Because that's an English word that refers
we
to...
don't connect, you're wrong, sir. You have to sit in Torah.
Don't
No, shut up. You have to sit in Torah who's the Jews.
Yeah, I can spell
Books, and he can talk about the Bible as a Christian. Mr.
Okay.
Thank you.
So as I was asking, right? I'm just to let you know, right? If you ask me, where does it say in the Quran or the Sunnah that race is not an issue? Where does the Prophet Muhammad challenge race? I can easily get you like extracts of that happening, yeah, where he challenges racism, like someone saying to someone who's a black man that you're a son of a black woman, like Bilal, and then the Prophet reprimanded him for that, for example. And the Quran says, "Inna akramakum 'inda Allah atqakum," and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "La fadla li Arabiyyin."
I want to respond with all those things.
No,
I want to like respond in
عربيا وعجمي إلا بالتقوى.
No, it's not this. It's not la farq, it's la fadla.
Someone who speaks
Anyways.
Arabic, someone who don't speak Arabic.
Okay, thank you, my friend.
Only condition by law and condition.
Just forget the guy. So it says here, there's no difference between an Arab and non-Arab, or a black person or a white person. The Prophet said that, yeah? Okay, so anyway, so this is not Quran, but it's a hadith of the Prophet Muhammad. At the same time now, these are things I can cite. So if you say, where does the Quran or Sunnah challenge racism? Easy, yeah? There's no difference between a white man or a black man or Arab or non-Arab, except for God consciousness or piety. Now, is there an equivalent in the Old Testament?
Okay, so it does say, because you wouldn't expect, as Joseph said, race is a 20th or 19th century construct.
Why do you say it's a
because you wouldn't expect to find that exact word or a Hebrew
If it was,
translation of it.
you see, look,
because
this
there's
is,
no,
if
hold
it was
on.
19th century, well, how could the Prophet say
Because what you just said is there's no difference between an Arab and a non-Arab.
No,
He
I
didn't-
said no.
He didn't. As I understood your translation
Yeah.
of the Arabic, he didn't use the word racism. I'm not saying that.
No, I'm not saying racism.
Yeah,
I'm not
so-
saying, okay,
so
no.
I'm saying you wouldn't
I'm
expect
just
to find
saying,
that
where
in
does it,
that
where do we
specific
see?
language. Okay, so I want to give you an example.
Yes.
So it says, don't oppress the stranger, because remember that you were strangers in the land of Israel.
But the stranger is not referring to the race of the person, is it?
That is referring to anybody who's not Jewish.
How do we know that?
Because-
And don't
because-
oppress them is not the same as saying that
because-
they're the same in
because
terms of racial
because
equality.
Yeah, because you can still be racist, but don't oppress them.
Well, oppression is a type of behaviour.
I'm
So it says
just-
don't
my-
behave
my
don't
question-
behave differently to someone. Well, how we
Still,
do?
but still, a religion that is pious and pure will teach you to yourself
Okay,
to
so-
not feel that way. Do you understand? Because if you're allowed to feel that way, if your religion tells you to feel that way but don't act it out, then that's still wrong. That's not pure, is it? Do you understand
Well,
what I'm
that's,
trying to say?
again, it
do-
gets into a whole
so-
different
so-
mindset.
I've
Because our
read
religion
things on the
doesn't really
internet, which I'm
care
sure you have
what
as
you
well,
feel. It's all to
which
do
give
with how you behave.
examples of
Yeah, but a religion should
supposed
care about how you-
racism.
No, of course,
Because-
okay,
because
what I'm saying is
it's
if
Islam,
behaviour that
things
makes
like-
that
Not within the
person-
Islamic
okay,
text.
because we believe
So
that if you
I've read Hadith,
if you
I've
behave in
read.
a
Bring them
certain
to
way,
me,
so
I'll
let's say,
speak
for
to
But
them.
example, we have a
what I
problem
want to
with
say,
singing.
I don't
Let's
want
talk
to,
about
because my
improving your
modus
character.
operandi is
asking-
not,
so it's
my
something
modus
that we all
operandi
think
is not
is
to attack Islam,
No, but you
and I
agree
don't
with
want to
your
make
character,
enemies.
maybe you're a bit
And most
stingy,
of the
I'm not
places
saying
I
you
read
are.
this is places
But
like
I want to be a bit
answering
stingy.
Islam
What's the way
and
to
people
behave
who
like
have
a
a very
generous
strong
person?
anti-Islamic agenda.
Fine, but don't read it from
Incrementally,
there.
maybe they
But
give
what-
away,
what I wanted to say-
20p one
yes,
day.
what I wanted to say
Next
is
week they give away
an
50p
absence of
and keep
something
going up. And eventually, when you
isn't
behave as a generous person,
evidence of
then you're
something
No,
else.
no,
allowed to
no,
think
no,
like a
I'm not
generous
saying it
person.
is.
And our
So
That's
religion
no,
believes
no.
that
I'm
We
just
say
an
that
argument
your
from ignorance.
behaviour-
I'm not
will
saying
have
it's
an
that.
impact on
Our
how you
proof
feel
you
rather than the
rejected
other
it,
way
you
around.
didn't like it, but that is the traditional Jewish
No, 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 I'm
understanding.
just saying-
The traditional Jewish understanding
Okay.
is all men are considered B'Tselem Elohim and we're all equal. And it goes as far as saying all
Where does it
people...
say- where does it say all races?
No, so it doesn't talk about race. I'm trying to answer it.
Okay.
It says all people are equal and all people that do good deeds go to Olam Haba, the world to come.
Okay, if you don't-
So you don't have to be Jewish to have a portion in Jannah. In Islam,
There's no Jannah.
there's Olam Haba.
Yeah, so which is not Jannah.
Well, it's,
Jannah is...
Jewish, that we don't need no one to come our religion.
Look.
No.
is it Astaghfirullah? What's
He's
the
not
expression?
In Jewish,
Look.
Ya Rab, Ya Rab.
no one to come to our religion.
So here, look. As far as I know, in the principles of jurisprudence in our religion, yeah, in for example transactional things, everything is haram, so everything is halal, yeah, which means allowed, except that which is mentioned is haram. So if, for example, if I wanted to eat a prawn shellfish sandwich, yeah, I could do that in Islam because there's nothing that really says it's haram, yeah, it's just wrong. Now I'm not sure how it works in your in Jewish law, but I suspect
similar process.
it's a similar process, no problem.
We have a specific prohibition
Yeah.
that we are not allowed to eat from the sea.
Right.
Anything that doesn't have fins
So
and scales.
for example, yeah, I know.
Hanafis
Some
say
Hanafis
that,
and Hanafis.
yeah.
But I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about, so for example, if Judaism or if the Old Testament doesn't say something is prohibited, then by virtue of, by extension, we should say that actually it's allowed. Yeah?
But first of all, I don't know. You
Does this
can
make
make
sense?
that as a general
Positive
principle.
legalism.
As a general
Yeah.
principle, but what you have to also understand that there's actually 4 layers of and 4 different ways of reading that. I don't know how it works in terms of like understanding the Quran, but in terms of reading and understanding the Torah and the Tanakh, the text of what Christians call the Old Testament, we have 4 different layers of reading and understanding that's been built. Literally it may say you may look through the text and not find something literal there, but in the further commentaries and further understanding, it will be explicitly referenced. It'll say this passage refers to X, Y, or Z, depending on whatever the principle is.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but you agree of this principle of legalism, which states at its core that actually everything in terms of transactions, not in terms of worship, so it's quite similar to what we believe in, is allowed until it's explicitly mentioned that it's not allowed, prohibited. Yeah, is this what I'm trying to find? So if that is the case, then unless we are to find something in the Old Testament corpus, yeah, that says specifically that racism or differentiation of people based on race is wrong, morally incorrect, or there's some kind of reprimand from Moses or any of the other prophets, then we are to assume that racism is an acceptable attitude.
Okay, so I reverse that back and flip that back to you and say, anywhere in the Quran does it say that you can't have relations with a girl who is 13 years old?
Wait a minute, what are we talking about, racism or
no,
13 years old?
No,
hold on, 13 years old.
The reason I'm saying it, because I'm not going to say that all Muslims
no,
believe
but
that they can have relations.
we'll talk about that, no problem, but focus on what I'm saying, then we'll put that as an asterisk, we'll put it in the bottom footnotes, and we'll address it. We'll come back to it. It's very relevant, but let's address it secondarily.
Okay, what Joseph's trying to say is that you're essentially, in philosophical terms, trying to have your cake and eat it. I'm
talking about race.
You're trying to talk
the whole
about,
discussion.
You're trying to apply a principle in one area that you don't apply in another.
You're trying to show that in Islam.
I'll answer your question.
You're trying to say.
No, but you're answering the question with a question.
You're trying to say within Islam.
That's a very Jewish thing, by the way. To answer a question with a question.
Yeah, you're trying to say.
There's a joke.
You're trying to say within Islam, there is a precedent, there's a law which forbids racism, and you're saying because you haven't found an explicit mention of discriminating against race, that's racism is permissible within Judaism.
I'm not, I'm asking.
And we're saying it categorically isn't.
Okay, can you give me the evidence?
Because of the concept of B'Tselem Elohim. All men are created equal. So when you go through Jewish, can I extend that? When you go through Jewish law, for instance, there's laws to do with whenever there's a law, for instance, it's forbidden to steal. And it's forbidden to steal from a Jew or a non-Jew because we believe B'Tselem Elohim, everyone is created in the image of God. Can I finish my point? The only instance where this is overruled, where a law that applies to a Jew no longer applies to a Gentile, is where it explicitly states that. So, for instance, usury, which is the one you brought up, ribbit,
interest,
which is interest. They call it. You mentioned.
Ribbit is interest.
Interest being charged on a loan, it explicitly states that you can't charge a Jew. If it didn't say you can't charge a Jew, then it would apply to all people. So with Jewish law, unless it explicitly states this is only for Jews,
Jewish by ethnicity,
Jewish by religion. Judaism's a really interesting. So Jews, we believe we're a people, we're a land, and we're a religious system like a Sharia or a Deen. So it's those three things. Religion is almost like a Christian concept, and it doesn't really apply to us.
Can you guys treat me as an ignorant here? Yeah, in the sense that, let's say you guys are the knowledge, and I am you guys are the teacher now, and I am the student. Okay, so don't attack me, because when you attack a student, he doesn't learn. Okay, I'm asking a simple question.
Okay.
B'Tselem Elohim.
Yeah.
B'Tselem Elohim. In the which was man is created in the image of God. He translated it as all men are equal. That translation is nowhere found in any of the English Bibles.
Okay, so
hold on.
First of all, the English translations, Christian translations are notoriously unreliable.
You're talking about Christianity rather than
no issues. Not even. I mean, I would ask you to tell me where any rabbinical exegete, any rabbinical exegete has said B'Tselem Elohim entails, that Jews, as an religious grouping, are equal to, for example, Arabs. Has there anyone that said that?
Almost every rabbi. It's right down to the concept where we have Olam Haba, the world to come. We say it's not. We're the only religion that says that anybody can go to paradise. Everyone can go to paradise as long as they're a good person. Whereas within Islam, it discriminates.
No. I'm not talking. Please. I'm not talking. First and foremost, let's not conflate the word